Limitless, episode 19, A Dog's Breakfast. Brian is back at the FBI. New rules are in place. Brian must be in eyeshot of Naz in the office. Brian now is recorded taking NZT because the FBI doesn't know that he got pills from Mora, so they assume that he's been pretending to take the FBI's pills when he really didn't, and then stashing them for later. That's the only explanation they have for how he had pills stashed at his place. He also can no longer get high on his own time. Now he has additional babysitters, bodyguards, not just Mike and Ike. Now he no longer gets a headquarters. And lastly, Brian now must dress the part when he's on duty at the FBI. So no more casual everyday for Brian. Since Finch has new babysitters, Harris has Mike and Ike trying to figure out the connection between Brian and Sands and Mara because she's still hung up on the what might have been, what could have happened, what went down with the attempted assassination of Edward Mara. Boyle, Harris, and Finch are on a murder case. It seems to be that a kidney transplant got repossessed. The interesting approach to it, or the thing you don't see coming, is that the kidney was 3D printed, first one ever made. Harris says this feels like a heist. While at the house of the deceased man, we meet his wife and their dog. Clearly, this is a reference to the title, A Dog's Breakfast. And before we get any further down the line, let me just say that there's one reason for this channel to exist, and that is to sell graphic novels. My graphic novels specifically. There is a link in the description below that you can take and pick yourself up one of a very limited number of printings of cover A and cover B. There are also C, D, and E covers for Everlasting Survivors Volume 1 all day long. Currently up on Indiegogo. There are hats and shirts and posters and all kinds of things. So check that out, and back to the show. Finch's new bodyguard, who he is calling Mr. Y, and his partner Mr. X, well, they've been bought out by Sands, it seems. Crazy, even though we know Sands knows Brian didn't kill Piper, Sands, that is, he, still gives Brian his side effect blocking booster shot. It's intriguing and kind of confusing. Is Sands not telling Mara, or is Sands manipulating Brian? The credits say special appearance by Bradley Cooper. And so that gives away one of the unexpected things of the show, but that's okay. Bradley Cooper's the reason the show happened, so cool to know that he's coming soon. Finch, Harris, and Boyle are at the place where the bioprinted kidney came from. The dead dude funded the 3D printed kidney, like he was their major financial backer, because he had the incentive to help them along. I once again see the name Mark Webb pop up on the screen, just like I saw Bradley Cooper's name pop up. And my enjoyment of the show makes me want to rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man to see if it is as good as this is. Because in my mind, I feel like that this show is better than The Amazing Spider-Man. Might have to reshuffle some of my pre-planned, scheduled stuff to watch The Amazing Spider-Man. I'll call it Trilogy, that way I can sneak in Spider-Man No Way Home. Anyway, back to the FBI. Brian gets a text from a blocked number. Is that even a thing? Can you block a texting, or the number you're texting from, and still send the text? I don't know. Never seen it happen. But anyway, Brian does some mental math and figures out that the blocked number came from Piper, or so he believes. Boyle and Harris are having an odd meetup outside. This episode is very paranoid, although I guess it makes sense with Brian running away to Russia and, things just being extra abnormal with, Brian's new setup and things of that nature. But yeah, everything here feels different and just a little sneaky. Naz has DNA evidence from the dead guy's crime scene, but the DNA isn't any of Brian Finch's suspects because he ran down all the people who might have motivation to damage the company that printed the 3D kidney. The guy's DNA from the scene of the crime isn't the killer. He was the kidney donor. I figured this out even before the show tells me because the tech wasn't ready. It's just the only right twist. And yeah, I was right. I figured it out. The tech wasn't ready to put a 3D printed kidney into a living donor, so they paid a guy to give up his kidney to save their biggest backer. And so we're back to the who in the company had it out for proving the company couldn't do it. There's an assistant who had gambling debts, and so they're running through all these things, but they don't have a clear-cut person. Brian sneakily gets a burner phone to call Piper. It is done. Piper made the side effect blocker. Finch, Boyle, and Harris arrest the bioprint guy, but he is adamant that he is innocent. The team are having a brainstorming session trying to figure out who both has the skills to cut out a kidney and would want to kill the rich dude. Brian wants to injure one of the team to lure out the underground doctor. This is super nuts. Stavros, the janitor from the Bruntouchables episode, stabs himself. Brian is trying to ditch his new bodyguards, Mr. X and Mr. Y, so that he can meet up with Piper. Of course, Brian is being fun about it all. He's drugged the bodyguard with pizza because he sprinkled like a sleeping pill, an Ambien or whatever type of thing, onto the pizza. Piper didn't make it to the meet that she and Brian had set up with the burner phone, and Brian was tailed, but he doesn't know that it was only Mike and Ike. Not only as in they're nothing, but like it's not like they're gonna kill him like if they were Sands or somebody like that. Crap, and more crap is Brian is back at the safe house and the drugged bodyguard is gone. Piper's bracelet was left at Brian's place and it has her blood on it. Finch and NZT Finch are freaking out. Brian isn't just losing his NZT Brian, he is also losing his peace of mind. This is crazy. And while I'm talking about how crazy it is, to me it's crazy that we are in episode 19. There are only 2 more episodes of this show to go because next week will be episode 20 and I'm doing the finale, part 1 and part 2 together. So yeah, it's shortly coming to an end here for the Limitless TV series. The next morning, Finch is in Naz's office, but Boyle calls out Harris on what is going on. This is the craziest episode they've done so far. Everyone feels off. Well, maybe not everyone. Boyle comes clean with Harris about the NZT pill he found when Casey was killed. Boyle is being so real. He thought about giving the pill to his mother just because he wanted her to have one more good day. His honesty is moving, but Boyle wants Rebecca to tell Naz all the stuff that she suspicions about Sands and Maura and Brian. The thing is, though, before Harris can go to Naz, James, the tech guy, found the hitman that will lead them to the killer of the rich dude. And wouldn't you know it, that killer, that surgeon, he was a veterinarian. But who was he hired by? Dun dun dun, the spouse. It's always the spouse. Montgomery, the dead dude's dog, is not doing good when the team goes back to the rich dude's house. And at this point, Brian lays out that basically like on Monk, the here's what happened. And they go through the contents of the dog's stomach to find that the wife fed the kidney to the dog. Not cool, lady, not cool. Finch is on his way to see Maura because he's got a stump speech, and he yells out Senator Maura in a big crowd, and Edward Maura tells his security to bring Brian back. to speak with him. And when Brian gets his meeting with Edward Morra, Finch confesses to Morra that he didn't kill Piper, and Brian is begging Edward Morra not to kill Piper. He says that yes, she created the enzyme and that he wanted to be free, but he just doesn't want her to be killed. And at this point, Edward Morra realizes that Sands has went rogue. He took Sands took Piper, and that's why he didn't tell Edward Morra that Brian didn't kill her. Edward Morra is just figuring it all out, because he's big time into NZT and he's got it all figured out. But the craziest line, and just how cocky Edward Morra is he says he doesn't care about any of this. Morra tells Finch that it's not about saving this world, it's about who's in control of the next one. It's really heavy stuff and just goes to show how vicious or calculating, definitely how arrogant Morra can be. With less than 90 seconds remaining, Brian gets a knock at his door, and because he leaves Morra and goes back home. But with, like I said, less than 90 seconds left in the episode, Brian answers his door. I'm on edge at this point, not knowing what's going to come, and it is Rebecca Harris. As Brian turns around to let her in, she pulls a gun and has her handcuffs ready and tells Brian that they're going to talk about, or he's going to have to tell her the truth. And to me, this was a spectacular 6 out of 5 episode. It is all the reasons why that I feel this world should continue, and if given the opportunity to come to life once again on an HBO Max or a Paramount Plus or another avenue to be enjoyed, I think that this could really be worthwhile. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Wednesday Rewind. Like I said, the entire show is coming to an end in 2 weeks. And so be sure to come back this Friday to be a part of, well, I forget what we're doing, but, come back this Friday and see you Monday for Monday Movie Mayhem. And tune in next week for the continuation of the Wednesday Rewind. For my name is Rebecca Harris, the 20th episode of Limitless, the TV show. Thank you. Later.